been 15 years since we last seen the Karate Kid on the big screen. We did have a surprisingly successful Netflix series to hold us over, but now the 6th entry of the movie series has entered the fight. Is it worth your time, or is it just yet another soulless cash grab?
In life, you have only one question. Is it worth fighting for it?
Karate Kid Legend stars Ben Wang as Li Fong. He's a prodigy student of Mr. Hans, played by Jackie Chan, who's reprising his role from the Jaden Smith film, who now has a big old school teaching a bunch of kung fu. Li and his mama, played by Ming-Na Wen, aka Mulan, moved to New York, where Mulan's all
No fighting.
This is where your whole fish out of water new kid scenario shows up. It's your typical Karate Kid formula. Lee meets this girl with her on again, off again boyfriend, this douchey white guy with a ponytail who's like the big bad karate guy and winner of the 5-borough tournament thingy. This guy's picking on Lee and trying to fight him, and at first Lee's not fighting because Mulan told him
No fighting.
Lee also has a few demons from his past, and a big chunk of this movie is literally just setting all this up until something happens where he's basically kind of forced to enter this tournament to help out a friend. But he don't have the skills to take on the douchebag, so Jackie Chan, aka Mr. Han, comes down to train him, but he can't do it alone, so he enlists the help of Daniel-san.
Daniel-san!
This movie is very by the numbers. It does attempt to deliver different circumstances in the second act, maybe something that we've necessarily haven't seen in the movie series. They add a different dynamic between Lee and a friend, which I did appreciate because it did felt a little bit different. Another difference is that Lee is not just a novice. He's been under the tutelage of Mr. Han, so there is a base to grow from. He's not just starting from scratch. The point of his training is to merge the two martial arts, kung fu and karate, through the teachings of Mr. Miyagi, aka Daniel-san.
Daniel-san!
And I feel like in that department is where this movie felt to be very tame. Daniel-san's part he plays in this movie is pretty minimal. The movie doesn't use Daniel-san. It's almost like if he wasn't there, nothing would have changed. They didn't write him in the movie enough. There's no true reason for Daniel-san to stop what he's doing, fly across the country to New York to help out this rando kid. He does give a line that serves as a form of explanation as to why he is doing the things that he's doing, but the movie literally has no time to really explore Daniel-san's why. It didn't make any sense. I just didn't buy it. They didn't even explore the relationship between Mr. Han and Daniel-san either, because there isn't one. Mr. Han just kind of shows up at Daniel-san's dojo and is like, hey, Miyagi was a homie of mine, help me. And that's literally it. The dynamic between the two isn't used a whole lot. It's not played with or explored at all. There's not much pushback either. Maybe they were trying not to make it feel similar from Cobra Kai, because that's the dynamic of that show, the Johnny Lawrence and the Cobra Kai ways of doing things in the Miyagi-Do and the Daniel-san stuff. So maybe they didn't want to rehash that dynamic. But give us something. This movie definitely needed some more Jackie Chan and Daniel LaRusso's interaction. It also annoyed me a little bit that Daniel-san is not really viewed with a whole lot of respect.
Daniel-san!
He's not seen as the Karate Kid. He just kind of comes off as a guy. He's just a guy. He's just another guy in the corner of this kid. So the whole Daniel-san mystique and the whole Karate Kid lore is kind of wasted.
Daniel-san!
And there were opportunities to do so, like the first time they meet. What I would have done, I would have had I would have had Jackie Chan, Mr. Han, and LaRusso fight the first time they meet. As a way for Mr. Han to kind of test LaRusso a bit, use the fight as a form of language, like they're understanding each other through the fight. They're seeing how they use or do certain moves, which tells a lot about each person, their feelings or whatever. I don't know, make it deeper than what it actually is. They can probably have like a cheesy line where Jackie Chan is like, oh, Miyagi taught you well or whatever, instead of just like, oh, he talked about you a lot. You establish some sort of bond between Mr. Han and Daniel-san.
Daniel-san!
Which then crosses over to a tie between Lee and LaRusso, because without that, there is literally no reason for Daniel-san to do any of this. At the beginning of the movie, they do try to create a tie between Mr. Han and Miyagi and how the two martial arts became one in the Miyagi teachings. But they merge the two martial arts, the Kung Fu and the Karate, and the opening of this movie kind of explains what Mr. Han has to do with Miyagi. How does he fit here? But again, all that has literally nothing to do with Daniel-san at all.
Daniel-san.
I usually like when the movies are shorter, but in this case, I felt this movie needed to be longer. The pace of this movie is so fast, it really sacrifices character screen time. Therefore, the characters don't really feel like characters. Most of them come off as NPCs that are just there to serve the overall story. There's not a whole lot of feeling to the movie. It kind of feels a bit empty. Like, there's a training montage. There has to be, of course, but it didn't feel like a Karate Kid montage, sadly. It just felt like just another movie montage. And I feel like the Karate Kid montages, similar to like the Rocky ones, because Karate Kid is basically Rocky for kids, has a prestige, has a feeling, has a standard that has to be met when you're doing these things. You can't just throw a few shots together and that's it. And here, I don't know if they just tried and it didn't land, because they did try to use similar music to the Karate Kid, you know, whatever. It just didn't feel right. Like the montages in Cobra Kai are 20 times better than the montage here. It just didn't hit the same. They do spend a lot of time simply setting the table for the movie. So everything else is really just fast track to move the story along. The training, the character development, the tournament itself is really fast tracked, is really just like almost skipped over. And because of that pace, there's really no room for any heartfelt moments. I personally would have minded more Mulan scenes. I feel like that character could have brought some sort of heart to the story. And it doesn't hurt to get more Ming Na Wen on the screen, honestly. Maybe this crosses over to the cheesy line, but it would have been also kind of cool to maybe see her kick some ass, you know, because she's so anti-no fighting that all of a sudden she's put in a scenario where she busts out some moves or something, write it in a way where it makes sense, or simply just do something to relate and connect her goddamn son as a human. Again, she's just kind of like NPC Mulan, just kind of there, you know? Instead of doing any of that, it's like her whole personality is simply
No fighting.
And Lee is kind of like your just run-of-the-mill guy, you know? He kind of loves to train, I think. I'm not quite sure yet, because all of a sudden his mama is like, no training, no fighting, never. And he should be bummed out, because that's one thing that he's holding on from his past, but you don't really see him struggle with him just all of a sudden quit kung fu cold turkey. That concept nothing was really explored a whole lot in the movie, which is really weird. So because he doesn't struggle with that, it's like the reason for why he's fighting isn't as strong as it is in past movies. What it's put at the forefront of this movie is, why are you fighting? What is the reason why you're fighting for? You know, there's always a reason. There's always that element in these type of movies. And I really liked how, for example, they did it in the Jaden Smith movie, where he says that he needs to fight because he's scared. And the way they show that, and the way Jaden, before he turned into a cuckoo clock, how he delivered that line, there's a lot of emotion, a lot of feeling, and you can feel all of that. And I was really waiting for that to happen here. And there simply isn't a moment like that. So in turn, it makes the characters feel kind of empty. They're just kind of going with the flow. Lee is simply fighting because of this one thing that happened. And it's like, okay, fine. But it would have been cool to see him overcome that with actual human emotions and not just overcome it just because. Like, they had an opportunity to explore and make these characters feel real, and it was just kind of just left there. The fighting itself is really, really good. It has very fun choreography. Ahí got loco. I gotta wait for the gas. El perro también. The fighting is very fun. It has very fun choreographed fights that didn't feel choreographed. And I think that has a lot to do with Jackie's involvement. His stunt team was involved in this movie as well. His fights never seem rehearsed. And even in Cobra Kai, there were some moments where you can see certain actors seeing their next moves and it looks rehearsed. But you don't see that here. They prioritize my favorite shit, which is cool shit. And I like how they also prioritize where the fights are taking place and how they use the surroundings and weapons and all that. The fighting and the choreographed stuff is top of the line. It's great. It's fun. It's fantastic. What might not be so fantastic for some people, I didn't mind, but I felt the need to point it out. There's some product placement in this movie. Shout outs to Sony for always finding a way to make an extra buck. You know, there's some Tekken and Pepsi product placement. There might have been more, but I didn't notice the rest. The Tekken one wasn't that bad. It was just like a poster in the background or something on a billboard. But the Pepsi one damn near felt like a commercial. They try to use it as a joke to kind of like disguise what they're actually doing. Is like, oh, would you like some Pepsi? It's kind of like, bruh, come on, man. I noticed it. It didn't particularly bother me, but it's like, come on, man. You know, I know that it does annoy a lot of people, but so I feel the need to point it out. There's also a couple one-liners here and there that are actually pretty funny, but again, I don't think there was enough time given to the supporting cast to really let them shine. Really, mother? At the end of the day, this is a Karate Kid movie. I wasn't expecting any like Academy Award winning performances. Yeah, maybe for the stunts and choreography. Yeah, sure. But do you know what you're getting? You know what you're going into. I wasn't expecting this to like revolutionize the sports movie genre, the fighting movie genre in any way. I was a little bit bummed out that it is missing the charm and the heart that Cobra Kai brings. And I don't mean like the cheesy Power Ranger feel that Cobra Kai has, but just the way where it makes characters feel like characters and not just pieces to the overall story. I don't think I'll go as far as to say that they disrespected the franchise. I just think that they didn't use it enough to tell a story, therefore it just comes off as a by the numbers story. But maybe because it's so short, I don't find the movie like a giant waste of time. I feel like more than anything it's almost like a waste opportunity to do something really cool from a story perspective. But I did enjoy some of the bits and pieces this movie does have to offer. Again, the fighting is really cool, it looks really good. It's just that there's not a whole lot of heart or human emotions to it. It's just simply okay. And I personally would have wanted something a bit more than just okay. I kind of do hope that they do another movie to keep the franchise alive, because you could have ended it with Cobra Kai. And I think that's what their intentions were, because I don't know if you guys remember the strike that happened last year. Because of that, this movie got pushed to this year. This should have came out before the Cobra Kai series finale. So now because of that, the series finale that tied everything with a bow is kind of undone a little bit, because now you have this story. So you're not left with a satisfied ending. I mean, I guess you can go back and watch Cobra Kai and like forget about this movie, but it feels like this movie opens the crack a little bit to more that could be explored, or more that could potentially they could do with the series. And I would personally love another movie, maybe bring in Johnny Lawrence and do a whole movie with him. Maybe there's a new Karate Girl or something. I don't know. It does have to be something worth it and not just something thrown together, which this feels a little bit like. I'm towing the line between being super harsh and mean about it, because it's not a terrible movie. It's just like a waste opportunity. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Are you planning to see this movie? What would you like from the franchise moving forward? Should they make another movie? Should they probably do a spin-off Netflix Cobra Kai series? Should they just sweep the leg and end it? Any and all Karate Kid thoughts, let them fly down in the comments. When you're down there, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to always and forever, you do you. Pinche gas de mierda.